Just going to line up part. All right, thank you. And on your seats as well, was a photo release form. Did you all see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting fancy here, aren't we? So thanks to our crew at Next Door Photos, Barb and Bob over here. They are, I'll talk about some of our other sponsors here in just a minute. Yet Barb and Bob talked about these release forms because, again, as we as agents kind of like to use social media, promote everything that we're doing, sometimes we might not connect with the people we're taking images of and whether or not they're okay with it. So that's the reason you have that here. So they're going to be doing some stuff today here when we get to the sponsor mingle, and then it's going to be a beautiful night for a ball game. So surely that's going to happen, and so they'll be there as well too tonight. So if you can, and we'll just collect it later, fill that out. And if for any reason you don't want to have your image taken, then just come connect with me and let me know. Cool? Okay. Let's tell you a little bit about how this day came about. And I just heard Perry talking about this, and he says, I think it was a year ago, it was in April, that Perry connected with Jason, correct?
Yeah, there you go.
Right there. There's an image of Perry and his kids, and they're at Anaheim Stadium to see the Twins play the Angels. So at this time, and this is what I learned later, because a month later, I connect with Jason as well. But at the time, a year ago, no one from out of state could actually get a ticket to go to a ball game in California. So they connect in April. And then in May, I want to take the boys to LA to go see the Dodgers play. Perry goes, you got to call Jason. So I called Jason Berns, and I don't know him at all at this point. And I'm sitting back in my office, and we're starting this conversation. He initially says, well, I don't just sell my tickets to anybody. I need to know that you're a Dodger fan. And at this point, I'm like, well, dude, I'm a Dodger fan. So what was really cool about our conversation is immediately the conversation turned into an experience, because he asked me the question, Matt, do you want to buy tickets for your boys, or do you want to have an experience with your boys? And then I'm going, oh, he's good. Because I'm going, my price just went up. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I just spent $100 a ticket for my boys, and this would be great. And while we're talking, he's actually showing me and sharing with me the images of the seats where they're located. And yes, they're in the very first row. And so if I'm sitting in the seats, I'm sitting here, and where Melissa's sitting, that's where the Dodgers dugout is. So, and we saw Kershaw bouncing a ball, and Justin Turner in there tip his hat at us, and all, that's how close we are. So I love that you asked me if we wanted an experience. So it was wonderful, and
Didn't Matt Beatty come over and say hello? One of the guys we worked with in his real estate needs came over and said hello.
He came over and gave us a baseball, and all these things. So I'm telling you all this because this is why Jason and Laura are here today. So we formed a relationship with these two a year ago. And then you're going to learn a little bit about them and their business and how they literally Berns blessing. I love that. I love that phrase. 6-day Blitz. I was following some information on that. 10-day Blitz, now 6-day Blitz. So this couple, and then we had an opportunity when I went to the game that day. I got 4 seats, and my aunt didn't go. And then I called Jason. And I said, "Is anybody on your team that they'd like to go?" So I met Colin. And Colin's a member of their team to this day. They'll talk about Colin, I'm sure, as well as they'll talk about their team. But just a terrific experience. And that's what led into the lineup card here, too. I'm getting to when we're truly going to introduce these guys. Yet I want to actually set up how this came about today. So if it wasn't for our allied sponsors, our partners, to really help us put on an event like this, that's why we checked in with them. So when we're done at 2:30, this first 90 minutes is going to be a session where Perry's going to ask us questions. We've done the mega agent interviews before. We just thought it'd be fun to fly these two across the country to do it this way today. And in doing so, once we're done with the 90 minutes, we're going to jump over to the cafe. Our allied sponsors, our partners, their stories, they're here. So they're terrific if you get a chance to read them. But it was really fun for Jill Morrison, who helped put all this together. Thank you, Jill. And for us to collect these stories. But you're going to see how baseball is very much part of all of our lives and the stories that kind of come from it. So these guys have some really great ones. During the 3 to 4 session, they're going to share some other really cool sports stories that they have connected with what they're doing. But with that, I just want to be done talking so we can actually have Perry start talking. But Jason and Laura Berns from California, 13 members on the team, is that correct?
Actually, now we're at 12.
At 12? Love it. So what you're going to see is actually one of the things that we promoted is the idea of actually through their giving, that's how they're receiving opportunities as well. Again, actually, I'll let you highlight your numbers because I know numbers will change. But again, I saw even from Family Reunion, you guys are the top team that's actually coached by MAPS coaching.
Which we didn't even know.
Yeah.
We got, actually our coach didn't even tell us. Another coach told us. So
Yeah.
that was really surprising. That was amazing.
So the things that they're doing, and this is where, again, what type of experience are you doing with your clients? I'm pretty confident that you're going to receive some awesome value, awesome nuggets today. So again, Perry's going to set up the interview as he does. Don't hesitate to ask questions. They'll encourage you to ask questions after he goes through some. And then again, at 2:30, beverages and snacks provided in the cafe. Go meet some of our allied partners. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for helping make this event happen. And again, regarding the game, the Twins want to play ball. The Dodgers want to play ball. We all want to play ball. They will not cancel that game until the last minute when they have to. So again, I don't think it's going to rain at all.
Right.
We're good. And Ladybor there, John Ladybor has helped to secure an awesome suite that's got food and beverages and heaters. So it should be great. So
Doors open at 5:40.
doors open at 5:40.
And the game starts at
6:40. Where's Mark Johnson? All right, Mark Johnson's our agent Uber, so thanks for picking up Jason and Laura. They're great. So he's doing some really cool things with them today. So thanks for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Perry. Jason, thank you. Laura, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Awesome. So before we welcome them, Matt has put a ton of work into this thing. Can we give him a round of applause? It's so cool. I told these guys earlier that so they've gotten to travel around and speak in many different offices around the country, and I said we want to be your favorite. And thank you all for showing up in person to be here. It means a lot to all of us. And I know it means a lot to you guys. So
No one's scheduled a speaking engagement around a Dodger game, so.
Yeah.
And remember, we're coming out of like Mass Central. So seeing everyone's faces in a room together is just, it's a real highlight for community.
Love it. All right, so so tell us about how we got into real estate. Tell us about yourself, how we got to KW. Just give us some background.
Great. You want me to start?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, so fun to be here. Thank you again for having us and the Allied Partners. It's a treasured event and we're crazy Dodger fans. So thank you. Thank you. My name is Laura Berns and I fell into real estate, as I like to say, coming back from an international experience. I went to high school in Los Angeles, went to University of Chapel Hill in North Carolina. So we're still mourning our loss just a week and a half ago. And after that experience, I lived in Africa for some time and worked with an outdoor education company, which really is the tie-in for my love for education and giving back and learning and seeking with curiosity. From then, I decided I wanted to be paid to live around the world. So I got a job in South America for a relocation company and hydropower and then relocation. And I pretended I was fluent, and that experience allowed me to become fluent and came back to the United States in a time of job recession. Couldn't really find a job, thought I'd go into, like my father, be in the stock market. And ended up, my mom, it's all who you know. My mom asked a friend, who do you know that needs help? And this wonderful husband and wife team needed an assistant. And they took me in without really an interview, which was very kind of them. And I became their assistant, and they were a high-powered local real estate team in Los Angeles. They also became the operating principals of our franchise. So they were approached by Keller Williams, opened the franchise. So we opened it from their house, and I helped them do that. And so I was gifted with the opportunity to kind of be the jack of all trades. Quickly realized my skill set was really in sales. And so then I became their lead buyer's agent on their team. And then at that point, met Jason on an open house. We did not know each other or dated for a couple of years.
She didn't like me initially.
He's actually an introvert. I'm an extrovert. Anyway, long story short, it obviously worked out. He was at a different boutique company and I was at Keller Williams at that point. And we didn't talk about merging our businesses until after we really got married, because we were so loyal to where we were. And we didn't know how we would do it, but we were like, we're just going to focus on marriage first and then do everything else. And ultimately, for us, after Jason went and visited KW headquarters, we realized my biggest thing was I was learning so much and things were coming to us so quickly from KW of what's new on the horizon, who are the top people to read, the masterminds that we're holding. That coaching element was so critical and so life transforming for me that I didn't want to give it up. And yet I still wanted a boutique feel and a community feel. And that to me was what KW offered. So we decided to really stay in KW, and we were also then introduced to MAPS coaching. So we were given the opportunity to have Tony DeCello, who's now retired, in MAPS coaching. And I can honestly say, besides marrying Jason and our daughters, he was probably the most pivotal, influential person in our business. Yeah. So that's us in a nutshell, or me in a nutshell. You?
What year did you join KW then?
I joined in 2004, and Jason joined in
May 1st, 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
We got married December 9th, 2011, and then I came after that trip to headquarters, May 1st, 2012.
he knows his numbers.
Yeah, he's the number man. And we were given a chance to sit with Mark Willis at the time. And I remember prepping Jason in the, because he's like, I don't know who this guy is. I remember sitting there in the waiting area, and I said, listen, if this guy gives us 15 minutes, just listen. Just take everything in. And he ended up giving us 2.5 hours. And he didn't talk one bit about business. He talked about how to succeed in marriage and in life together. And I thought that we both walked out of there, and our team leader at the time going there said to Jason, so is there any chance, or is this just a learning trip? What's going on? And Jason said, yeah, we're not going to be here. We're going to go to this small boutique company. And on the flight back, he was like, yeah, okay, so we're coming. So it's amazing, the relationship.
Wow. I feel like I could go in two different directions. I'd like to ask, and I'm not going to, but why Tony DeCello had that big of an impact. And then, oh my gosh, you probably have like 14 pages of notes from Mark Willis on marriage and life too.
Yeah, it was crazy.
My question to Mark was, listen, why should we come to Keller Williams? I'm super loyal, super boutique. And he said, I honestly don't care about you, but I don't want to lose her. So whatever I have to do. So, I was
Well, we
like,
were the same production, so I think he was just being kind.
yeah.
At the time.
But those comments about caring for people make an impact.
Listen.
Do you want me to give my little?
Where's yours?
Okay. Graduated from college in '95 with a degree in religious studies and elementary education. Had a heart for teaching. Grew up as a pastor's kid. Both my parents were pastors, and thought I'd be in ministry. Had wonderful experiences working in the orphanages in Romania and teaching overseas, and then thought, listen, that's what I'm going to go do. Taught elementary school for 7 years, loved it. Sports had been a large part of my life, and then I had an opportunity to go coach tennis at high-end resorts around the world. So I thought, I'm going to take a year away from teaching school, and that 1 year turned into 7 years of running a tennis program in Hawaii and then the Caribbean, and then ending up coaching on the women's professional tour, traveling to all the Grand Slams, and was doing some corporate outings in the Caribbean in St. John, and then got connected with American Express, and American Express asked me to go lead these outings for their top network people at the Australian Open. And then I was there and leading this American Express outing, and then had an opportunity to meet Marion Bartoli, and she said, why don't you travel with us for the Grand Slams? And so I did that for the next 3 or 4 years, sort of traveling and coaching. And it was amazing. While I was at these high-end resorts coaching, again, I was teaching people who were very successful. Again, I taught tennis to Bill Gates. I taught tennis to David Robinson. And these are people who are very successful, uber successful, and they're paying money to be on a tennis court with me. Lots of these people have they've been successful, so people pay a lot of money to be with them. And so it was a chance for me to ask questions. What made you successful? How are you successful? And these are people in the entertainment industry, business, the world. And it was pretty uncanny how often they talked about real estate as being a part of it. It most often wasn't as a real estate agent, but I just sort of triggered. They were doing development. They were buying properties. And that was a pretty common theme. So there was a developer in Oahu who came over about 4 times a year who said, you need to get your real estate license. And I thought, oh, I'll get my real estate license. My dad, again, large part of my life was affected by my dad. My dad had Parkinson's disease from the time he was 33. In 1981, he was diagnosed. So I moved back in.
You were 8.
When I was 8. I'm the emotional one. We're both emotional. But anyways, I moved back in 2007 from traveling full time and thought, okay, I'll get my real estate license and be there to help my mom with my dad.
It's okay. I'm
a mess.
It's okay.
So
It's good to get it out in the beginning.
as I was coaching tennis, I thought, okay, I'll do real estate on the side. I'll go travel. So I got my real estate license, hung it at this boutique office in 2007, and then was committed with Marion Bartoli to be at the French Open in Wimbledon that year. And so at Wimbledon, she ended up getting to the finals with and lost to Venus in the finals. That day, I was also with Cara Black. She won the women's doubles, and it was this incredible experience. I'm in the coach's box twice on the final day of Wimbledon with these people, and my clients are back in LA. I'm in escrow on my first deal, and they're like, wait, you're a real estate agent, but you're coaching at Wimbledon. How does this work? And I had my mentor who was mentoring me in the business sort of helping me. And I realized I don't want to be one of those realtors who's doing it part-time. I want to be all in. I'm sort of an all-in, go for it. And so after Wimbledon that year, I said, I'm not going to travel anymore. I was committed through one more tournament at Stanford that year. And then, so that was August 2007, where I sort of got into real estate full-time. I was an independent agent, met her soon thereafter. And then we started dating about a year and a half later. And then a year and a half later, we got engaged. Another year and a half, we got married. And
3 amazing
we have
kids.
3 amazing girls, 3, 5, and 7, Charlotte, Alexandra, and Elizabeth. We usually bring them with us. They're just now getting to school age. But when we spoke in South Carolina about 2 years ago, Laura wore our youngest on her as we did that presentation, because as we choose a life that's very busy. We choose a life that's very full, and it's a busyness of our own choosing, as I was saying to someone earlier. But we've sort of brought them in. They do a lot of the real estate stuff with us, coming to our Twilight events, coming to that. And so
We do a lot of Dodger
they
games.
go to a lot of Dodger games.
Have a lot of balls.
I'm good friends with lots of fun people. So anyways, that's sort of my background. And so I've been in real estate full time since August 2007. And again, we formed our business in May 1st of 2012. So Tony DeCello, if you want to go into that, when we were with Mark Willis, he sort of said, I'm gonna gift you the gift of coaching. We both are big coaches. We're both teachers. So being able to be coached by someone, we didn't know who Tony was. At that point, he was coaching about 25 of the top people. Our volume at that point, I was doing about 11 million in business. She was doing about 14, 15 million. So together we were doing about 25 million in volume. But Tony's clients were all 80 million plus. And so we didn't know what we were being given. And yet, again, he changed our life. And that first month, this is sort of an epic Tony. Okay, what do you want to do for the rest of this year? What are your goals? How much money do you want to make for over the next 7 months, May through December? And we looked at each other and said, if we could make $200,000 in commission, that would be a huge success.
That'd be amazing.
He didn't really revisit that. Again, that's what most of his clients were doing in a day. But we were just sort of like, this is what it is. I had a real hard time coming from a faith-based perspective on having goals that were financial. I felt like God provides, and I need to have faith, and I just need to trust. And pastors, we were always provided for. And again, he sort of had to work on my mindset. Listen, you can have financial goals, the good that you can do with the financial blessings you make. So anyways, that was his first 2 months of just getting in my head and saying, you can have those financial goals and you can impact lives.
The first 2 months were all mindset conversation.
And then that December, again, 6-day blitz. We started a listing. The first listing we went on, I'm getting into the weeds. Is this okay, Perry?
Yeah.
Is this all right?
I'm gonna take a lot of notes, so just keep talking.
So the first listing we went on, we both are into events and doing events. So we had a client event. We did a luau at a past client's event. We invited 150 of our clients. We had hula dancers. I used to live in Hawaii. We had catered food with all Hawaiian. And part of that, when you do events to sort of have contact with the people beforehand, during the event, and then after the event. So one of Laura's dear friends, who she went to high school with, didn't want to come.
And who had not bought a house through us yet, was looking to buy a house. She didn't want to come because she didn't really probably know people there. So really as we say, the funds and the diamonds were in the follow-up calls. And so I called her and just said, gosh, you were really missed. We missed you so much. And I made sure I mentioned 2 people that she knew who was there, so that for future events she would come. And then I also said, and then I said to her, as we're building our business, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest? How can we be of help? I know we're helping you to try to find a home, but do you know anyone else? And she said, well, I'm so glad you called because my grandmother passed. And, my aunt and uncle really want to work with their agent. I'm pretty positive it's only going to be that person, but it doesn't hurt to, for you guys to go and talk to them. You guys are great. My mom would set it up. Why don't you go ahead and have this dialogue? Let's see what, I'll put it together for you. So this was, second week of us merging our business. We had no listing presentation. We had nothing on our data. We just had our past successes of what we've done separately. And this was probably the largest listing price-wise that we had taken. It was about 2.4 in a neighborhood that we had not sold. So we had no credibility. And the agent that we were going against was Jason's broker, who's his mentor in the business, who just left.
The company I just left, the broker was their personal agent. A number of
you want to go against something big in the beginning, might as well just do it. So we went in there and, it was one of those opportunities, 3 sellers to communicate with, and 2 of them were very closed off from the beginning from body language and conversation. Both us and the other broker gave the same pricing. And
between 2.3 and 2.4, we both sort of came in 2.3 and 2.4 million. We both said that's the value. So we both came in with that same number.
And as Jason said, what we realized is our best conversion is face-to-face. And we lived in a small townhouse. And so we're like, how do we create events, have mass numbers of people that come to us so we can get high quality, high touches without wasting our time and utilizing different space, because we can't really host a large amount of people in our place. So we said, well, what if we used our listings? And what if we did this? So we started to create this whole marketing blitz around events and utilizing our listings at the highest level. Now, of course, this was going to be the guinea pig because we had no experience of doing this.
We had both door knocked around our listings before to invite people to our listings. That was part of it. And we both believe that, okay, when people are eating, they're happier. And so with Tony's coaching, we sort of created this plan and strategy of,
which has now been a huge pillar and gold mine within our business. So with that said, they gave us the listing, which, a miracle. Couldn't really tell you to this day why, but that was phenomenal. And
Laura's personality.
And we
sure.
created this 10-day blitz. And so the 10-day blitz is something that we've coined and put together, where it's a combination of grassroots movement and then our best sales capacity to really leverage our own database and bring in that neighborly community view. So we, as we were saying at lunch, we always launch our listings on a Friday because the Wall Street Journal finds, and this was an article about 9-10 years ago, that listing on a Friday gave your seller a 1% higher return.
Minimum.
Of course. And then we have door knockers that we would go door to door to all of the neighbors, inviting them to the upcoming events that we were doing. We don't put a lockbox on our properties, and we're there for all showings because we want the sense of competition. So we would invite everyone to come at the same time. So our first event would be that Sunday. You could call an open house if you want to. We like to change the terminology to an event. And we have food there, of course, because people linger with food, they stay. We've utilized our stager, cleaned up the property, done the best that we can with what the seller is willing to do to make it that whole experience. And then we are very purposeful. So when we greet people at the door, there is a very set communication and what we require to enter into our listings so that we have the data of who they are, their phone number, their contact information. And then I think Jason's a master at this. He has like a little cheat sheet in his pocket. So he is truly, figuring out who just came in, what their name was, and, he's finding out the child's name, if they're a neighbor, where do they live. And then I tend to be the sweeper going into my collegiate, sport days. And I would, if he saw somebody who wouldn't really communicate with him, he would give me the high sign and I would go in and try my tactics and see if I could get data from them and then utilize it for follow-up. So this then, from after that first event, then our broker opens are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, depending on the location. So we would do the broker open, and after that,
one of those days.
Yeah,
Depending on the city, every city had a different
time. Then after that day, we do what's called a Twilight Open, and this is really what we're Twilight tasting. It's what we're really known for is our taco nights. So we found a taco caterer that would work with us, and we'd have them in the backyard. It's evolved. Now we have a guitarist. In some properties, we have one of our clients who's an artist painting the home. That's going to be a gift to the sellers, and the sellers don't know because they're not there.
Mhm.
So it's really fun. So it's an interactive experience. And the door knocking is inviting all of the neighbors to come. And when they're like, oh, don't come to my door. I'm not selling. I don't want to talk to you. I go, it's all right. I'm just inviting you to dinner. I'm inviting you to come and have a taco. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're not asking me to leave in my house. I'm like, no, I just want you to have dinner. Don't have to cook. Come eat on me. And we invite our database. So it becomes a database party. So these Twilight tastings became date nights for clients, or I have 5 kids and I don't want to feed them. So I'm coming up to your open house for free, which I'm like, great. I don't want leftovers. No problem.
So this has evolved since this first Blitz that we created. So we're a lot more sophisticated. We were sort of throwing it out there to see if this worked. But at that first Twilight tasting on that Wednesday night, we'd invited all the neighbors
And our clients.
and our past clients. And so we had some past clients who came because the landscaping was beautiful on this $2.35 million listing. And they were sitting there and they told us afterwards that there was a person who came in and said, I'm going to write an offer on this place, but it needs some updating. So let me have your information. And then after I buy it and remodel the kitchen and do some things, I'll then call you and sell it to you and you can buy it for me. And they told us that. And we were like, this is magic. This is incredible. We've got people creating this connection and wanting to sell it to one another. And we're creating this buzz, and you've got all this competition because everyone's sitting in the backyard, enjoying listening to music and eating tacos. And we're like, okay, we need to do this. Neighbors are curious about the house. Neighbors are curious. So you're inviting them. You've got buyers who want to test the drive after work. You're doing it in the evening. Most people just show on the weekends where you're in and out real quick, and then you're feeding them. It's all these things. And
that neighbors become third-party advocates that you're not paying to say how great the neighborhood is. And if you have a neighbor that's a little cranky, you just try to push them out as quickly as possible. With kindness.
So that's
that particular property, just to give you numbers.
It's listed at 2,349. The highest first offer we had 8 was at 256. We countered everyone at 26, and it sold for 2,860. So it went up $500,000.
Which you have to remember with long
What year was this?
This was 2012. So, and that came from doing a client event, this hula party at another client's house, and
calling the people that didn't come.
yes. So anyways, that was early. It ended up closing in August. So we started our business in May together. That closed in August.
From that street alone, we did over 9 million.
So that's where I was going to get to. We get to December.
I spoiled the fun.
We get to December. This goes back to Tony DeCello, and Tony says, Jason and Laura, do you remember what your goal was for the year on how much you wanted to make?
The 7 months. Yeah.
In the 7 months. And we said, wasn't it 200,000? And he said, Jason and Laura, do you know what your GCI in December is? And we were like,
No.
and he said, it's 220,000 just for the month of December. And he was like, you set a 7-month goal for 200,000 and you just did that in 1 month in December. And that's the snowball that just sort of continued. And so that first year, I think we did 44 million, and then it went up to 49 million. And then we went back to 47 and then up to 60. Then
Right. No, in 2019, it was 84 million. In 2020, it was over 100 million. 2021, it was 136. And then this year's goals is 183 change
in volume.
in volume.
So it's just sort of grown and you've created that snowball. Our first hire, we joined May 1st of 2012. We hired Melissa, who is our director of operations now. We hired her as a executive assistant. I think she may be on this Zoom with us.
So she can type in and
so-
keep us on.
But we hired her December 1st of 2012. She's still with us about 10 years later. But January of 2013, we had a 17-day trip to Australia because one of the clients who I coached, Barbara Lepchenko, invited us to the Australian Open, was going to give us player passes, and I wanted her to see that part of my life. So we hire someone out of Southern California, Edison, not out of pain because we needed someone. Gary says you need that first executive assistant. Then we go out of town for 17 days with this executive assistant running our business. We then have this incredible experience with these player passes where we're sitting next to Roger Federer and taking cabs with Andy Murray in the Players Lounge.
I did try to get him to go back into tennis, so I can actually.
So Laura said, you go back into
It didn't
tennis,
work.
and I'll just do the real estate and I'll join you at the Grand Slams. But again, that was a wonderful season, but we like sports. We like to sort of have experiences, and you hire the right people to get in business with you. And we've had plenty of people that we've hired that haven't been the right people because we've shortchanged the process. But Melissa's with us 10 years later, and
also Mike's on there, Madeline's on there, Jason's on there. So a lot of our team is actually signed in, which is really amazing because they're the heartbeat. They're the ones that really get it done.
as you hear, operations is the culture of your team. It's one thing for us, but we can't run the culture of the team. We're out in sales. It's the operations who really protects the culture. So anyways, that's Tony. All right, we've got to keep this to an hour and a half.
I told you.
Well, so you brought up the 10-day blitz, and now it's the 6-day blitz. Do we want to talk about it in its entirety?
So the reason why 10 days is because we realized that doing open houses over 2 weekends or events over 2 weekends were really creating great magic and bringing us amazing leads. We were averaging over 400 people within those events. In COVID times, like anything, the market shifts, culture shifts, you've got to shift with it, and you've got to pivot. So we realized that in California, people were really not coming out, and they only wanted to see a house once because they didn't want to get sick and the fear of whatever it was. So we brought it down into 6 days. So now our current blitz is, of course, our transformation arm, which Mike is on the call. He runs all of that. So all the prep work ahead of time, which on average is about 2 weeks to get a home ready. And then Jason Rodriguez, he runs with all of the marketing with our amazing Madeline. And they prepare all the back end of the listings with the marketing. And that usually happens by Wednesday. So we go live on the market on Friday. No lockbox, as I said. First showings then begin on Sunday, typically. Sometimes it's Saturday and Sunday, depending on the clientele.
But Sunday, the data that says that Sunday in our market is much better. You get much better traffic on Sunday afternoons than Saturdays.
Yeah.
So,
and nowadays we have a big, we do this really big table outside with all the marketing material. We have sign-in sheets. We have the Twilight invitation to come back.
we have
for
a
the
tablecloth
taco.
that says Berns team listing out front. So it's creating branding. We have doormats at the front door that says, welcome to another Berns team listing. You're creating brand awareness. We do 30, much to the dislike of our team. We put 30 signs up around each of our listings. So people, all the directional signs around, it takes 45 minutes to an hour to put up those signs and pick them up. But you want to create awareness where people are seeing you and people are coming. And again, some markets you can't use signs, and some cities you can't use signs. So adjust it to what you are, but you're creating that brand awareness. So this listing that we just got last week, they said, I see your signs everywhere. And we're like, I'm not sure that we have had a lot of listings in your neighborhood, but when we have a listing, we want everyone to know that we're there and people are seeing us.
Yeah. So after that Sunday, which in this time of year, we do it from 2 to 5 p.m. Then we do the next broker caravan that day.
Door knock.
Yes. In between there, we do follow-up calls. So everyone gets a phone call, text, email. And the email is very specific. It says, thank you for your support, because you lead with curiosity. If somebody gets an email that says, thank you for your support, it's like, what did I do? What did I do to and they'll open it versus, so we have a higher rate of opening. With there are links to all the marketing websites because we want them to go direct traffic from Zillow, from Redfin to, you know, our own website, our own property websites and YouTube channel and our social media channels. So that's all included in those emails. Also, that's when we door knock. We have to door knock before the twilight. If we skimp out on any of these steps, it affects the numbers, it affects the leads, it affects then the overall what opportunity we have for the future. So we door knock and invite people again to come and have a taco on us, come and have date and bring your friends. I even say to people, bring your Tupperware, you know, bring Ziploc bags, whatever you want. And then we do the broker caravan that day, feed the brokers because they're hungry and we're all hungry, they deserve it. And then that night is when we do our twilight. At this point, it's from 5 to 8 p.m. We do have a guitarist that's normally there as well, creating that entertaining environment
We
because
got keyboardists at times, we have guitarists, just creating that atmosphere. We're demonstrating a lifestyle. People aren't just buying a home, they're buying a lifestyle.
and then we do, and then typically offers are due Friday at noon. That's when we have a set deadline. We meet with the clients, usually over the phone, Zoom, going over the multiple offer spreadsheet, issue counters at night, ask for responses within 24 hours, and then open up escrow. Our goal is for 2 buyer conversions from every listing and 1 new listing in that community or that area.
You don't necessarily farm any neighborhood, but you sort of become the local expert for each home because all the data shows that if there's 1 listing, there's going to be 2 more that sort of come on in that close proximity. So wanting to be those people. And then after the escrow, when our system is followed, which as Tony says, we don't always do, you want to go back to those same neighbors that you door knocked and say, okay, we had 8 offers. So there's 7 desperate buyers looking in this neighborhood. Who do you know that is looking to sell? Because we still have 7 people who didn't get a home. And then it's a way to show value, even if they're not your buyers. They're real buyers and you get the listing, then you're helping the next person sell their home and you're helping those other agents. Again, on our business cards from day one it's all about relationships. It's relationship for us. It's relationship with God first and foremost. It's relationship with our family, relationship with other brokers. It's relationships with our clients and relationships with our team. Sorry, team, I should have said you hire. Yes, it's super important to have those right relationships with people. And I can be pretty direct. Laura can be a little more softer with people. So we again, how we make a good team. And again, sometimes when we've got clients, again, our cousin sold bought a home with us. He never talked to me. He only talked to her, and we're fine. If someone calls her, that's the lead. If someone calls me, it's fine. Again, you got to take the ego out of it and say we're all working for the same purpose.
The other thing that I did want to say around the twilight night is reaching out to your current clients or database or friends or sphere of influence and inviting them as well. So they know, you know, I'm here. I just sold you this home around the corner. Come have dinner. Come check this out. And telling the neighbors, you know, if you have any friends or family that you're looking to bring in the neighborhood, now's the time to pick your neighbor, you know, and getting them to come out. It's amazing to see. It becomes a little block party.
And putting those directional signs for the open houses near the corners where you've got past clients so that they're seeing it and being reminded. It may not be the closest to the house, but again, let them see you. It's one more way for them to be reminded.
So it's a really strategic process. It is, as we say, it's like a little engine that keeps going. And Gary Keller says you need to have 3 to 5 pillars of lead generation. And this is definitely one of our pillars. Our other major pillar and our massive pillar is our database and our repeat and referral business. And obviously agent to agent business within that as well. And then of course, our sports and a couple other things going on as well.
So a couple questions quick. Thank you.
And we have this all laid out, so you can always email us or, you know,
we can email out after.
And we can send the breakdown of it just to see what you want to implement or if you can implement in your business and in your marketplace.
So a couple questions. It's so different than how we operate in our market.
Yeah.
So I can see a couple of people wondering probably
How
what
does
I'm
this
gonna
work?
ask here. So let's say I have a buyer for one of your listings and, you know, I'm a fellow Keller Williams agent with you. Can I only show the house during the set times? And is that how most people in your market do it? Or is this just your guys' deal? You can only come at this time, and this happens with every one of our listings.
It becomes easier for our sellers because you have a conversation with the seller. Listen, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're going to schedule for 6 days. You're going to have 3 times where you have to be out of the house. That way you don't have to worry on an hour's notice that you've got to get your toilet seats down and dishes put away. These are going to be the 3 times that you're going to have it. Last year, 94% of our listings sold with multiple offers after the 6 days. You get agents who push back because they don't like it. When we started this 10-day blitz, one of the top producing agents in our market came and sat in our Twilight tasting for about 3 hours, just sat there and watched what we did because he complained. He called us and said, Jason and Laura, I hate that you're launching all your properties on a Friday because I don't know about it. My clients are calling me on the weekend and I haven't seen it already. And a couple of weeks later, Ted came to one of our Twilights and just sort of watched what he did. They now launch their properties on Fridays primarily. I don't know if they know all the data on why we do it. And that's one of the things Tony said to us is, listen, you should be willing to share your secrets and the magic that you've created because, again, most people aren't going to do the work to implement it. And most people, you can create far faster than they can implement. So come with value, come with abundance, don't come with scarcity. And when you're giving, let people share with it. It's a lot of work to do all these things. It's a lot of work to do all the store knocking, all this follow-up, all the phone calls, to be committed to making 20 contacts a day, writing 5 notes a day in your lead generation and time blocking. Those are things that are hard. They're hard for us. They're hard for our team to sort of say these are the standards of what we are committed to.
So Perry, if you were calling me and you were saying, oh, Laura, I can't do it. I'll say, Perry, okay, tell me, this is really challenging for our client. So is there any way that you can come? And I name all the times. And I will say 95% of the time, the agent will be like, you know what? They can do that. No problem. If they can't, then we will ask and we'll try. Yet remember that buyer then doesn't have the sense of competition.
Right.
They're now getting a walkthrough. So their offer, most likely, unless coached and educated by their agent, will not be as emotionally connected to the house and not as strong as what we really need it to be. So in COVID times, when we were completely locked down and even couldn't show owner occupied homes, instead of doing open house events because we were not allowed to, we would strategically do showing after showing after showing. So we had utilized not showing time, but Calendly, and we did showings from 2 to 5, just like an open house, every 10 minutes. And the reason why is I wanted every buyer to have to wait 2 to 3 minutes. And then I wanted to bring them in, make them feel great, make them feel special, answer whatever questions I could. And I wanted them to see that there was another buyer waiting.
With their agent.
With their agent. Yeah, and we welcomed that. Now, what I didn't tell you about the 10-day blitz is when we launch on a Friday, we also email all of our agents in our database and on our market centers about the property so they have the data to go into the weekend.
And there's pushback on the group showings. We have a fair amount of celebrities and well-known people in LA. So just last week on our showing on Grayburn, we had someone who's a well-known actor who didn't want to come when everyone else was coming. And so we said, we'll come in the last 15 minutes of the open house and then you can come and walk through it and you can have your privacy. If someone's there, then we'll just wait and we'll stay an extra 10 minutes afterwards. But even,
That was us.
okay. I was afraid I didn't turn my phone off. Even them, they still have to work within the system. Yet lots of people feel, again, when people are paying 3 and 4 million, they want to be able to have that private experience of walking through the home. We want to respect that, but we also want to do what's best for our seller, our fiduciaries to the seller.
Now, there are some listing appointments and some sellers that are like, I don't want to.
I don't want 400 people coming through my
I
home.
don't want, and they love the fact that it's regulated. They love the fact that it's going to give high exposure, but they don't want all of it at the same time. So that's when we'll fall back to appointment by appointment by appointment and do the time blocks because it still creates that sense of competition. I see raindrops.
It's going to blow over it.
I know. We're in Kershaw. We're okay.
Yeah.
And so that's where we do that. But if it's like a no-go, we're not going to lose a listing
Yes.
over our Twilight showing. They all love the Twilight tasting. They all love that, but we're not going to lose a listing just because, again, it's just pivoting, mirror and matching and seeing what your client's needs are.
And by and large, we're going to work with other agents to try to accommodate them, even if it has to be a private showing. But our system is you're coming when everyone else is coming, but we will make exceptions as need be. But most people oh, they're actually in town. We won't make exceptions that first weekend because we want the buzz to be right at the beginning, but maybe during the week, during the day 4 or 5 or 6 of the 6-day Blitz, we'll do a private show.
The majority of our listings in this market could sell after the first open house, but we purposely are slowing it down. One, to give the buyers time to think about it. I'm sure all of you in this market, from what I've heard, isn't it the worst when you have a listing and you accept that buyer and then 2 days later, they're like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing it. And then you've lost that whole momentum. So I will say to the buyers, they're coming in, they're like, well, why are offers due on Friday? I say, because I want it to slow down. I want you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, to have time. Come back for our Twilight, meet the neighbors, come and sit here at night, roll down your windows and listen to the noise of the home, of the street. Tell me that this is where you want to be. And guess what? Selfishly, it gets us more exposure. It gets us more time with the neighbors. It gets us more time out there. And so why wouldn't I do that?
So-
You have to check with your MLS what you're allowed to do. Sometimes people have to write it into contracts.
Well, the broker's here if you got questions.
I don't know.
So might not invite us
That's a
back.
question.
We'll get to Joe here in a second. So I was just gonna look, our Twin Cities average sales price is what right now? Yeah, about 350. So I'm gonna ask you this question. It's gonna be different for our market, but for sales price. So what's your budget per listing as far as that whole thing?
On average, last year we put about $9,500 into each of our listings.
And that includes all the marketing.
Yes, our cost of marketing on average per listing
Right.
last year was just over
Staging,
9,500.
transformation.
So far.
But our average commission is 25,000, and we had some commissions that were 75,000 last year. So again, 9,000 may be bigger than your commissions for some of these sales or many of your sales. So it's a percentage of what you can do.
So a lot of times when we're talking around the country and, realize that there's a different average sales price than where we are, which we know we're very blessed, is that we will talk about scaling. Then what do you do where, for certain price ranges, you do maybe a different experience, or, and then as it goes up in price, what do you do then on the luxury listings? So it really just depends. And I also think there is some seasonality involved in it for you all. And so,
Taco 3 days.
so I mean, but yet there's so many other things you could do that would be so cool, and again, it's selling the lifestyle and selling the experience in the home, creating that warmth. It's really, we all know buyers connect emotionally, and then that's how they justify that price, is their emotions then cover up the logic explanation of it. And that's what we want. So
with 132 deals last year, right?
Yeah.
How many of those were that you ended up representing both sides as a result of this, and or just even selling off market?
Probably 7 or 8 were both sides so we get asked multiple times per transaction to represent both sides. We won't represent a buyer unless they signed a 6-month buyer broker with us, because we don't want to be just writing contracts. We want to build a relationship with them. And there are lots of agents and lots of buyers are in this competitive market say, well, I'm just going to work with the listing agent. And when we say, okay, we're not going to work with you unless you sign this buyer broker agreement, we want to build that relationship. One more sale isn't going to make or break us. We want to be building a business for a long time rather than just trying to make one more sale. So, so it's a small amount, 8 to 9 out of 132 transactions.
And I think it's great for our buyers, agents, because it's training them from the get-go of their value, knowing that we sign listings and we sign buyers, and that they're not just going to be sitting there in front of, a computer writing contract after contract. As we all know, it's taking in our marketplace like 8 to 10 offers to get something accepted. So that's a lot of documentation to then burn and the person be like, yeah, thanks, bye now. So for us, having that buyer broker agreement is really critical. And if a client loves the home and whatnot, then they do have to step up. We also statistically, we'll say to a seller, like we had this just recently, and it's been a challenge. We had a buyer for a property. We showed it to them ahead of time. One of our listings, we said it has to go live on the market. We could have tried to probably push it to be sold off market, but the X component was something that our fiduciary, we felt we just didn't know. And that was the one that ended up going to 863
180,000.
Oh, 880,000 over list price. And obviously unfortunately our buyer couldn't get it.
Listed at 2,749 and is in escrow at 3,630,000.
So, but yet, what could we
And that's
have
not
on the
normal.
table?
$881,000 is not normal for going above it. And we don't price things low. We are very strategic in pricing in our market. Again, people are searching in $50,000 and $100,000 increments up to $1 million, and then $1 million to $5 million and $10 million. They're searching in sort of $250,000 increments. So most of our luxury listings above $1 million are $1,249,000, $1,499,000, $1,749,000. So this probably could have been 2.8, 2.850. We put it at 2.749, and then the highest offer was 3.3. We countered everyone at 3.330, and then the highest offer went up to 3,630,000.
So that X component, we just didn't.
Because they were at the Twilight, they saw the people there with everyone around them. They'd missed out on other listings of ours, and they're like, "This is what we're gonna do." I just did the final walkthrough yesterday with them, and they could not be more excited. They've got 3 children. They've been looking for a home in this community, and they're thrilled. They won. They got a home, and our sellers
created generational wealth.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
So it's almost 2:00 already. Time does.
Sorry, Perry.
Yeah, it's all good. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take
Rapid fire.
10 minutes to ask great questions. Starting with Joe, because he asked first.
So, do your sellers ever object to having the party at their house? And if so, what's your script to turn that around?
Some of them do from the beginning. So in the start of the dialogue, so we'll go ahead and explain it a little bit in detail. And so I usually will say, Joe, let's put our buyer's hat on here. When you go out and you look at property, what are your major concerns? And I've said, and they're like, oh, well, the roof, and, they give me the dialogue. And then I say, do you ever worry about who your neighbors are? In LA, where it takes an hour and a half to go 6 miles, do you ever worry about your commute? And then I'm quiet and they'll be like, yeah, I am. So what would it look like as a seller if you answered those questions ahead of time? I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, you've hired me to be your fiduciary. I'm not leading you down a wrong path. By doing this event, feeding them so that they're happy and they stay. By feeding them, they will stay longer and they will experience it such that their offers come in stronger. And the properties that don't allow us to do it, just like staging, they sit on the market longer. They don't get as high of a return. Our average list price to sale price is 114% this last year. The average in our community is 106. So to me, by shortchanging the system, you're leaving money on the table. Is it your desire to leave that money on the table? Those are just some of the things I say. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah, sounds like you said that a couple times.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, who else? Fire away.
What's your average sale price?
So last year, where's Jason? Last year for sellers, our average sale price was, I believe, Melissa, $1,399,000. For buyers, it was just over 1.1.
Curious.
Totally, I'm probably slightly wrong. What's our average sale price for listings last year? Average sale
Like
price.
$1,330,000 was the listing.
You're close.
Yeah.
And our buyer was like $1,270,000.
Oh man, I was off. I said 1.1 because I cannot remember. I thought it was 1.1.
So I have a question. When you're doing these events, if you're drawing a lot of people in, do you have other people that come in, like these spotters?
From our
or-
team. Yeah. So we have the team of 12, and there's usually, it depends on,
The listing size.
we sort of sit, as Melissa, who runs our operations, says, this is an all hands on deck Twilight. And that means we're pretty much going to need 5 or 6 of you to sort of be at the listing, and others, it'll just be Laura or I, or Laura and
Like Thursday night, I'm doing one with one of our buyers buyers agents, and she and I'll do it, and it'll be great. And that's where having designated locations, like one at the entrance, at the sign-in, getting everyone in signed in, and then somebody who's a sweeper. So being strategic about it. We do in our listing presentation, our listing contract, ask people to remove jewelry, medication, and all valuables out of property. And we state that so that it's covered.
So what happens if we have 3 listings going live on Friday?
So that's our max that we do with our current capacity of our team. So
With
then,
the 6-day blitz, instead of a 10-day blitz, we realized that we can actually do
List
more
more.
listings because we don't have them going over 2 weekends. So it actually has helped our volume be able to increase just by shortening that process. So
so then we staggered the nights, or sometimes like, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, Jason and I divided and conquered and then the team supported. And a lot of the team members that aren't even doing the Twilights come grab dinner and then go home. So it's kind of fun to see them in a more social, relaxed environment.
When you're sharing with your database, how do you go about doing it? Do you do it across email? Do you send personal letters? Do you do it social?
about the events, about the events,
About the event?
email. So they get the constant contact email saying our Twilight's this week.
They're invited for that on the Friday launch. They always get that as well. So then it's probably the following Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night. And then it's all over our social media.
And,
But nothing works better than a personal text.
and some of
that
our
says, "Please come."
clients have opted out of getting all these emails about all these Twilight tastings. And so when we do our other events, like on May 13th, we're doing our Dodger event. We're inviting 350 of our past clients to the Dodger game. And so we've got 350 seats on the lower level. We're doing a meal beforehand and going to auction off some of the
Huge fun. Yeah.
some of the
Tell us if you
memorabilia
can
from
come,
some of our
guys.
players. And so then we have another email where that gets sent out, events at the Berns team. So the people who've opted out of not seeing all that, they still get the invitation, because what you don't want is people to say, I'm tired of getting these emails about these darn Twilight tastings, but I still want to know about your pie giveaway, where on 3/14 we had everyone do a drive-by and pick up a pizza pie from us. At Thanksgiving, we do the regular pie where people come to our house and do those. On May 13th, we do this year we're doing a Dodger event against the Phillies, where we'll have all these people come and enjoy a game. It's a Friday night fireworks, and we'll do a whole meal beforehand and sort of create that experience.
Jason, then Julie.
What's your budget typically for these Twilight open houses?
Great.
So cost of the tacos is $450. Our musician is $150, so $600, and then we're usually doing drinks, so you probably got another $50 to $75. So for us, $700 for the Twilight event. Again, if we're doing a smaller thing, then we may just do catered food from Costco or something like that and get a tray of sandwiches. That's what we typically do during the day. And so it can be scaled for sure.
Julie.
Tacos are kind of messy, and if you've staged a house, how do you prevent?
Well, in Southern California, we do it all
We
outside.
do it outside. Our weather was 95. And so we did just have a listing where, fail forward. We didn't confirm the taco person. And this was $1,250,000. So we called our local taco place and was like, hey, how quickly? They're like, we can turn this in 15 minutes. It actually was only $135. So I was like, well, that's interesting if we did this at this for just some of our listings, like just trying to see. And
The tacos for $450 is to feed 100 people. That's
it's
not
also like a taco cart where it's, grill and everything. So it's a real experience.
Our painter is usually the paintings that we have him do. We pay him about $1,000 to $1,500 for the paintings to do those homes. We commissioned him ahead of time to do 20. So again, we needed a write-off at the end of the year. So we paid him for 20 of these at the end of the year because we'd had a good year, and let's pay you before the end of the year to have that write-off.
So we have cleaning supplies.
Just kind of piggybacking on the last few questions, do you get RSVPs? Do you know how many people are coming? You
No.
ever run out of food?
Yes. And it's a great problem.
Yeah.
It's better than when you have like a ton of food left.
Yeah.
Our girls at home
Eat a lot of tacos.
eat a lot of tacos. In quesadillas.
You don't ever know how many people are coming. It's just
No,
a-
no. And I will tell you this, because some of associates in my life and in San Diego have, let's say, tried this, and at first they were like, Laura, the turnout was really bad.
5 people who came.
And I'm like, well, first of all, this is your first one. And I go, did you do the door knocking? No, I got tired. Okay, well, who did you talk to then? How many people did you talk to? Did you do your follow-up after the open house? Well, kind of. So it's all in the follow-up. It always is. Remember, at this point, it probably takes about 9 9 contacts to really convert a person. So these are the opportunities to convert someone. So there are some, especially if we're going into a new neighborhood, it'll probably be a slower one. So that door knocking is really critical.
Jeremy, Joe, and then we're gonna move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, who does the door knocking for you?
It's everyone on the sales team. So
Everyone,
Jason and
okay.
I do it. And then Colin, Lily, worst case scenario, sometimes we're like, hey, ops.
Yeah, right.
What SC wants to come out and be a DI?
And then how long is that party, the event? The
3 hours.
Is it 2 to 5 all the time?
So
the
the
Twilight
Twilight is
is-
5 to 8.
That's where you have the music, the food, that's 5 to 8, and that's always on a weekday,
Yep.
The day of the caravan.
Sometimes in,
which is our broker open, I'm assuming.
So that'd be,
Okay.
yeah, daylight savings, it's 4 to
4 to
7.
Okay.
Sometimes we do, we did do a time period where it was only 2 hours.
We had someone who heard us speak in Detroit and it was snowy and he went and did this and said, I've never had so many people in the middle of the snow come and
We had 40
see."
people.
So, yeah. So
He was so excited. He's like, my norm is 3.
you all know your market and what can be done and what can't be done, but you also can probably expand your mindset a little bit and say, we actually can do some of this.
so, Joe's got a question. Just FYI, if you like these mega agent interviews, Joe Carmack is our interview next month, May 19th. He's a budding YouTube star out of the Otsego Market Center. The floor is yours, sir. Welcome.
Yeah.
Do you do a tiered listing package like a high, medium, low? If so, what's included, or is it just a one?
On the commission,
And you also said, I think you did staging included in that. Should I be
So
intrigued?
we pay for staging up front, ask our sellers to reimburse us for half. Certain listings.
Stagers in the house.
I know, we believe in it, so we are big advocates for it. There are some high profile listings, depending on who we're going against. We know we're gonna have to pay for it all, and so we're open to that dialogue if need be. Regarding the tier package, we do a tiered commission, but not a tiered package. So in other words, we've talked about it, but I think ultimately it's an internal thing where we're like, we want to get the maximum price for these people. So we don't want to skip on the drone video, the 3D floor. We have all that technology in-house as well. We have a videographer on staff. So as of now, we haven't offered a tiered listing package.
Gary Keller says you need to do that, and that's where the market's going, and everyone needs to offer a tiered commission. What we've done, because we're still at 6% on listings, most people in our market have gone to 5%, is that if people push back, we say we'll go to 5.5%. We told some of the people at lunch, and if it sells for more than 105% or 106% of list price, then you're going to pay that extra 6%. We always split our commission 50% to 3% and 3%. If we reduce it to 2 3/4 to each side by reducing it to 5.5%, and that extra 0.5% comes in because we got more than 105% of list price, and that extra 0.5% comes to the Berns team side. So last year, our commission, because we started to do this, ended up being higher than 3% commission because people asked us to reduce, yet we exceeded expectations. And so our commission ended up being higher. So it's almost like we want to do the 5.5% so that we can get that extra 0.5%. But again, we still want, our standard is 6%. Again, we have a listing that we just took because we really wanted it, and it's 5%, and we're paying for all of the commission or all of the staging, and the staging on that will probably be $8,000-9,000. But
what percent of your commission is your marketing, including all the staging and stuff? Where do you usually find?
38%, I did the math. If it's 9,600 divided by 25,000.
Yeah. Is that roughly what you plan for the year?
So our marketing budget is high. In the MREA model, I think it should be around 10-11%. I think our marketing is more like 21-22%. So
What's our net at the end of the year as a comparison of GCI as a percentage?
we were at 32% profit last year.
Which at 3.7 million in GCI is not bad, right?
And we
We do
read
a profit.
profit first. And so Jason has been amazing about it and opened up our own bank account for the business, where then we take each commission check, subdivide it out. He's amazing at it.
Every
I think
commission,
that's one of the first things like that. I mean, I'm so grateful I married him, and yet this is his love. And that's something as a single agent, it wasn't my skill set. And so I love that he does this and takes to taxes, to our own tithing account, to our nonprofit, all of that in between.
So a great book we read was Profit First, that we would recommend. But when we first set up our business, we set up multiple accounts. We set up a tax account. So 30% of every one of our commission goes in the tax account. 10% goes into our tithe account. And then the rest of it goes into just sort of the general fund for us. We've now added, after reading Profit First, another 10% that goes into the profit. So we have 50% that's going into taxes, profit, and tithe. And then 50% we run the business on.
So,
And that's how every commission check with the business, that's just sort of how I divide it up. After it goes into the bank account, I take 30% and 10% and 10%, and then we run the business on the rest.
So for the profit account, the neat thing is what we're looking at doing, for instance, and we talk with the team about, and they know that this is something that, for instance, we're approached with the property that we could do ourselves as a flip, and we could utilize those funds, utilize some of personal funds for the team, and create wealth for them in a different capacity. And so that having that profit account has opened up different opportunities and allowed us to think in different ways for the team to give different avenues of growth. Well,
so we might go 5 minutes long just because Matt started 5 minutes late. So we have 25 minutes left. I want to make sure we cover two things, and you just brought up one of them. So when we got to hang out at Mega Camp, or no, where were we? Family reunion in Orlando, and we talked about strategic giving. And last year, so we set aside 10% of every dollar we make into an account to give away, basically, right? So last year we gave to 60 some charities, and it was 364 charities, $350,000.
$148,000.
$348,000 we gave to charities
that were chosen by our database and our community and our team.
By us. So Gary Keller said at Mega Camp probably 7-8 years ago, he was doing an interview with people on stage and said, you need to be strategic about your giving. You need to start a nonprofit. And we're like, don't know what that means. How do we possibly do that? We're committed as people of faith to giving 10% to tithe. Again, whatever it is, it can be 2%, it can be 3%, it can be 1%. For us, it was 10%. So we had that account. And then it was, okay, let's start a nonprofit, which we started about 4 years ago, called Berns Blessings. So basically Berns Blessings was set up. And so that 10% tithe goes into that account, and then we send it over to the nonprofit. So Berns Blessings is there so that when someone comes to us and says,
we're in need.
Would you want to support this? We don't have to think about it. The money is already there to be given away, and we can be generous in that. So it's a vessel. Again, one of the things we learned from a guy named Martin Balma, who's in Gary's mastermind with us about 7 years ago, he was doing an 100th sale giveaway where with his 100th commission, he would give a part of that 100th commission away to nonprofits. So 6 years ago, Laura and I said, we love that. So with our 100th sale, let's give away 100% of.
Not a lot of people do 100 sales in LA.
So let's give away 100% of that commission to nonprofits. So our first year, 6 years ago, was 1705 Melissa in West Covina, and the commission was $18,000. So it was like, this is awesome. We're going to give that 100th sale. We actually had several clients who were competing to be the 100th sale.
They were dragging their feet.
They were dragging their feet. Will we close? Will we close? And so
they got all involved.
So that 100th sale was $18,000. And we asked people, we learned at that point, okay, how can we involve our database in this? Because we want to give back to the things that are important to us. We've got the nonprofits that we're involved with.
But what's important to our team, what's making them tick, and wouldn't it be amazing if a client who doesn't interact with us in a face-to-face or only watches us on social media actually goes in and votes, and then we know what's important to them. So with that data. So Mike on our team, who's incredible, he's also runs our transformations on our property. He also is our photographer. He was in sales. We realized his gift and love is really in operations. So he transferred over to operations. He runs the website for this. And so people log in. So we capture their data, and they have up to 10 times to vote. And for whichever nonprofit, and there's one for each team member. And then there's the other box where they can write in. And then, so it's incredible. This last year, we had over 9,500 votes.
So The first year we gave away 18,000. The next year we decided our 100th sale was actually one we double ended. So I think we gave away $40,000 that year. The next year we decided, I think we gave away 44,000. The next year we were like, okay, let's raise the bar a little bit and let's give away our biggest commission. What was the biggest commission? It was 75,000. With our 100th sale, we gave away the 75,000. And then the next year, this last year, we said, okay, we got to raise the bar again. So with our 100th sale, we gave $100,000 away last year. And what we do with that 100th, with all the voting, we send it out. People have 3 weeks to vote. And we said, we're not just giving away the 100th commission, we're giving away $100,000. Please go vote for your favorite nonprofit. Here's the website. Everyone votes for their favorite nonprofit. And then we do an event where we had votes for 64 different nonprofits, 9,500 different votes. And we invited the 21 nonprofits that got the most votes to an event where we, again, fed people and we gave big checks away to these 21 nonprofits. And anyone who gets one vote gets $250. And then with all the voting, the nonprofit that got the most got a check for $12,500. So it's given to all these nonprofits that, and the cool thing is you do this event and you get all these people in the nonprofit world, especially in this COVID time where nonprofits are struggling, and they're together, they're like-minded, they're masterminding together and saying, oh, look at what you're doing. How can we partner? We've got a moving truck that we have that we let our clients use, and it's for any nonprofit. And so our moving truck has been Santa's sleigh for like 4 different nonprofits the last couple of years, where they fill it with all the gifts and then deliver it to whoever's in need. So again, that 100th sale this last year was $100,000, and it's super fun. And it started by.
No, go ahead. I wasn't breathing to be like.
So that's a part of our business, and so the 100th sale, that full commission, now it's $100,000. But again, we still got that 10% of every commission. So last year, our GCI was just over 3.6. We gave away 348,000. We kept a little bit in the nonprofit because we didn't know what was coming. So we track everything, and we want to be involved. Laura and I are both on boards. I'm on the board of the Boys and Girls Club locally. She's on the board of Pasadena Police Activities League. We have a heart for children, giving back to the next generation, being involved in education. Laura and I have 5 children's homes with an organization called Covenant's Children's Home in India. And these rural,
changing to Hope.
It's changing their name in the next 2 weeks to Restoring Hope. But this is an organization that takes the orphaned and semi-orphaned and double orphaned kids in the rural villages of India who are basically in the lower caste system, street children who won't have hope. And the local church adopts 5 of these children or 10 of these children, brings them in. We provide them education, we provide them clothing, we provide them food, and are supporting them. So we have 5 of these children's homes. And so when our oldest was 15 months, we went to India for the first time. We had lots of people who said, you're crazy for taking your 15-month-old to India. And we probably were a little crazy. Yet we are super blessed with the business we have. It's super important for us, for our kids to know that the world we live in, the world is much bigger than the world that they're able to be blessed by. And so and once we got there, we get to we're meeting sorry about the tears. We're meeting all these children who we're giving them hope. We're giving them an opportunity, and realize, okay, we're not just writing a check. We're giving these people an opportunity. We can't stop before they get through the university. This is super important. And creating these opportunities for these kids. And as we were talking to this one pastor who actually passed during COVID. So we're there, and they bring the whole village. They bring us in, and they put these amazing leis on and have drums, and the whole village comes. It's like a parade. We're coming in. You're sort of this celebrity. And he sat with us as we were there, and the kids were performing, these 10 boys. At that point, we only had 2 children's homes, maybe 3. And he said, Jason and Laura, for the last 20 years, there's one plane flight that flies over us once a day. And I've prayed for 20 years that someone's going to be coming to visit us. Yesterday, that plane flew, and I knew you were on the plane coming to visit us. It's like, oh my goodness, how impactful was that? So you get involved, and then getting the news that he passed away, and one of the boys, Saeed, passed away of COVID.
And he was 15.
It's hard. And then we got involved with 2 other girls' homes because Laura especially was like, these girls who are often getting married off at 11 or 12, how can we get involved in them? We love the boys, but we also want to love these girls. And if we can get them education, and we had one of the girls from one of our homes last year who got married off, went back for a vacation at 13 and got married off, and your heart just breaks. But we're trying to break that cycle. And again, this is one organization that, and as I was talking to John, it's the ripple effect. It's one thing for us to do it, but it's the ripple of what can be so much greater than us, because we're just a small little Berns team blessings and trying to make a difference and do good and make money for the good that money can do, and be okay with that, and be good with making 3.6 million in GCI and not feel like, oh, we want to have a big business. We set a goal 3 years ago that we want to give $1 million away in a year. And that's what we're committed to. This year, we're going to give $500,000 away. We want to get by 2024 to give $1 million away in a year. Just our little team. We can do it. We've set the parameters. This is what we got to do to get there. But that's what drives us. We have a big life, but we want other people to have a big life.
I think the neat thing that this Berns Team Blessing opportunity has done is it contributes to the culture of the team. And the team culture, as Jason said, is totally led by the operations. And, you know, 2 of our key operations people are virtual. Our director of operations now lives in Idaho, Boise, and another one lives in West Virginia. And it's amazing to see how it all comes together. And when we were putting this event together, honestly, Jason on our team and Madeline on our team were so instrumental in creating this. And Jason, who is really
Another Jason.
We call him J-Rod. Unfortunately, he's an Angels fan. And I have to state that because I think he's listening. So I want him to know that. But anywho, we still love him. He was newer on our team.
So this is the 100th sale event that we're talking about.
And he was newer on our team, you know, been there for maybe at that point 5 months. And a part of him came alive with this. And he was one of those that he captured the essence faster, newer than others that have been coming on our team. Obviously, those more seasoned love it and own it. But he got involved with the charities. He brought in his family to vote for their charities. His sister's charity got a huge thing. And then the coolest thing is we were just going over a review with him and his annual review. And he's like, hey guys, have we ever thought about scholarships for the Blessings team? And I was like, no, I don't know how to do it, but yeah, let's do it. And of course, Melissa's like, let me talk to our CPA and our analysis to see if we can legally do it. But like, I just love that he came to the table with such great ideas. And then Mike, who runs the transformation, who I talked about, it was his nonprofit that won. And now here's this guy that's like a big guy in the sense of just kind of a football build and, you know, always the jokester, kind of on the edge of HR, but so fun. He starts sobbing, giving the check away. And he is.
Which for me, it wouldn't be a big deal. Mike's a little stronger than me.
And Mike is like, and he's bawling. And I'm like, wow. So seeing the team's involvement and knowing their values and what's ticking within them, it allows us to hone in and be better. You know, we don't always have to give them a Starbucks gift card. What if we gave to their nonprofit? What if we did something like that? So just ways to incorporate your team, or even up at a single agent. You know, Barb, who's in the front here, I'm sure does a lot for you guys. That's your own team. You know, you've got your own people. And how do you incorporate giving them the gold standard too? What else?
Questions? Brianna.
Shift the gears.
Okay. How many are in your database?
Just under 9,000.
So let's dive into that. Was there a question around that?
Just under that are about 3,000 agents. So you take that out.
Okay.
So there's about just under 6,000. Gary Keller in our mastermind with him about 3 years ago says, if you have a database of 2,000 to 3,000 and you create a moat around that, that's all you need to create as big a business as you can. And having that.
So are those Mets, Jason? Those are Mets?
Yes.
Yeah.
People, if we ran into them at the store, they'd be like, hey, what's up? Like, we know them.
We might not know their name.
Yeah.
So pillars of business, we talked about events.
We don't buy leads. We've never paid for Zillow. We've never paid for anything like that. We don't, again, for us, it's about building relationships. We want to.
We don't do expires.
So let's dive into
And
this.
those are ways for other people to build their business. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's not how we're going to spend our money. We want to build a relationship and build it through events, build it through referrals, build it through.
So
Sorry.
setting the events part aside, if I'm in your database, because our daughters go to school together, what's the 33 touch, 36 touch? Is it all around the events, or what else do we do that you'd recommend they do?
So again, I think besides events, besides coming and being then broadcasted to all of our activity, all of our listings just sold, things of that nature, then it is again face-to-face. So we invite people. We do a lot of obviously going to a lot of Dodger games. So we bring people to those things.
We have tickets to all the major sporting teams in Los Angeles. So that's
Does Jeremy and I just talked about this.
Lakers, Dodgers, Clippers, Kings.
Does your accountant let you write those tickets off?
Well, the reason we got those tickets was because she said you all need some more write-offs. And so we bought all these tickets and I thought it was great. And then the CPA said about 3 years ago, you can't write them off anymore.
No entertainment anymore.
So I was gonna say.
So it changes a little bit. We give a lot of those away to nonprofits, charities, things like that. Then of course, market analysis, asking those questions to people, hey Perry, what are your goals for regarding real estate for 2022? One of the things that we were talking about here, because the market is shifting so quickly with the hike in interest rates, buyers are now being priced out of the market. So I was just having this dialogue with a buyer last week. I said, you have until December to buy a home here in California, in Southern California. If you do not buy, we need to find you something out of state because we need to help you build wealth.
In real estate.
In real estate. You need to diversify. So if it is not in California, that does not make you a bad person. It just means let's be strategic about this. Let's think about it and let's explore your options.
Our commitment is to do 4 pop buys to our A's and B clients. Again, end of year, we're dropping off champagne to all the people who bought that year with us. We're dropping off sparkling cider to all the people. So there's probably 350, 400 people where we're all going out and delivering these sparkling ciders and champagnes. And the initial tendency is, okay, I just want to go put it on the step and then get away. But again, we're trying to build relationships. So that takes a lot of time. We're doing other pop buys. Again, asking J-Rod just in our review last week with him, what are the 4 pop buys that we're doing? We also do events like on Valentine's Day. We take our A's and A+ clients and we send what you organize.
Yeah, we send them a bunch of different cupcakes in the mail so that we didn't physically have to give it out. And then for certain clientele, we gave them a whole meal because all know how expensive Valentine's Day is, and it's like kind of a ripoff to go out. I'm a big believer is let's just send it all to you so you don't have to do it. And it was so fun. Text messages we got, the social media posts, the interaction. It's super fun.
On Thursday, we're doing.
This I love.
Why don't you explain it?
Okay. So in a team meeting, I was like, I'm watching gas prices. Now, what is your gas per gallon here?
$4.
Okay, that feels really good.
We're
Are
at
you
6.
We're at 6 and some at over 6, I'd like to say. In some cases, it's 6.91. Anyway, so long story short, so we're doing a gas card giveaway. So we're doing a call-in on Thursday from 12 to 5. They have 5 different numbers that they can call in. They get a certain entry just by calling in. If they give us a referral, they get 5 entries. And then the next day we will be giving away a $1,500 gas card. It might be a Visa card, $1,000 and $500. And like somebody called Jason yesterday.
Literally,
said,
as we landed,
and it's like, hey, how are you? And Jason's like, oh, I just got off a plane. And then talking, and she's like, well, that thing on Thursday is still happening, right? So should I call you back then to get credit?
Yeah, this was a seller who sold their home with another agent.
Yeah.
We represented the buyer. They weren't super happy with their representation and have kept in touch with us. And so they got our email about this gas card giveaway and said, are you willing to do leases? And we said, of course, we do leases. For us, it's about building the relationship and taking care of them. And then we said, well, I know you've been living in your grandparents' house or your parents' house. And they said, well, that's the other thing I'm going to tell you. There's 4 siblings and all 4 of us have people that we want to meet with. And so we're going to be selling, and then we're going to, the parents want to sell. So we're going to meet with you. So this is someone who literally, because we're doing this gas card, called us because they want to win the gas on Thursday. And then they have a potential listing that they worked with another agent previously and are now pursuing us.
So that's really fun. So lately, this last year and a half, we've thought of things of what can we do to instigate the coming to us. So like the drive-through Thanksgiving Day pies, when we couldn't do an event, they drove through our house. We had masks on, we had shields, we had gloves. It was contactless. We were getting love, taking photos distantly, all that. Then of course the pizza pie 3.14, that's super fun. And then we go and deliver the ones that people forgot to pick up to clients who couldn't physically drive or elderly, and they love that. Then of course, 4th of July pop buys. And then the neat thing is, you know, a team within a team, like Lily on our team, she loves her dogs, and they like featured all over Instagram to a high level. So she wants to do a dog parade for like her little neighborhood. And I was like, great, just talk to Madeline, because Madeline has a great vision, and Madeline and Melissa and Rebecca and Victoria will make it happen for you. And so encouraging other team members to do what really is best for them, you know, follow your heart and really be your authentic self.
Love it. All right, what questions do we have as a wrap up?
I can't believe all of you
I'd love
stayed.
to know what your team members that leave, why they leave your team.
So salespeople, I would say,
They say we gave them an MBA, which was really nice of them to say.
They gave you.
We gave them an MBA in real estate.
Yeah.
And a lot of them say, I want to do this on my
I
own.
don't want to work that hard and do everything that you've sort of got high standards for what people have to do. You've got to door knock, you've got to do the caravans, you've got to do the lead follow-up. We've got, with the listings we have, we're doing open houses on the weekend, and it's exhausting. So I think that, and people often.
And it's life-giving.
Yes.
You know, so I think for some people, they feel like they can do it on their own and maybe have a higher split. The hardest part is, I would say, there's only one that has been, actually 2 parties that have been successful since they've left. And that's what breaks my heart, because then I see them and I'm like, I don't know how you're surviving.
We're pretty firm that Gary's model is a 40-60 split for running the MREA business, and they get 40 and the team gets 60. And people think, okay, I can go out and do it on my own and do a lot less. But what we found is having the support of, again, Laura and I are on salary. I think we only have up to 12, 10 of us are on salary. So that's a pretty big nut to cover every month. I think our nut is about $135,000 a month to run our team. And it just is what it is. So I think people think, okay, I can go do it on my own. We've got high standards. Most people have self-selected out, and we wish them well. Some people have moved out of the area.
And then only one was a culture non-fit.
And then how do you?
So that's a big process, you know, going through Gary Keller's and following the process of this CV and, you know, KPA. Melissa takes charge of that. God bless her.
We've also hired
outside
Consulting to do some hiring for us. And we've also hired Grinley Tucker. We've used both of them to help us hire people. It's intense to try to go through that hiring process. We don't want to shortchange it.
So we're slow to hire, and we should be faster to fire. We're trying to push it. We tend to have more of a self-select out.
What, thanks, Julie.
And I also think if
Yeah.
I used to be in pain over this topic a lot, because I was like, what are we doing wrong? And ownership. Gosh, we're much better than when we were 5 years ago. And at the same token, everyone has their ownership in it. And then being able to be in some of these masterminds, I've realized a lot of these teams do have some turnover. some high turnover. And Gary Keller himself said this is very normal. So it has given me some relief in that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly it.
One of the questions you were going to ask about our day, I'm not going to go through our whole day, but every day we have a team meeting at 8:30 in the morning. And on Monday we have a theme for Motivational Monday. Transformational Tuesday, Wednesday wins, Thankful Thursday, and Fail Forward Friday.
And Fun Friday.
And Fun Friday we've added to. So everyone has to contribute on the call on each of those themes throughout the week, and having everyone gather together. That was something that Tony got us to do. And it's just part of what we do every morning at 8:30. Everyone's on the call. And Motivation Monday, Transformation Tuesday. We've done a lot of 66-day challenges with our team where we ask people what's the habit that you want to create, and let's do that together. It doesn't matter to us. You're choosing your own habit that you want to create. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's reading, sometimes whatever it is. And so we've done that as a team. That creates culture. So
We did the plank challenge. They were.
Yes.
So closing thoughts, what have we not asked you that we should as we kind of wrap here and have a half-hour break?
I would jump in and say, when you're sitting up here talking, a lot of times people think, oh my goodness, they've got it all together, or they're either full of dog do. So I hope that you see the authentic self. And I would also say it's cyclical, and there can be a lot of pain in the growth. And I would say, it was funny because you asked a question and then I was reading Shift again last night, and you asked about basically, I was like, are we in survival? Are we in thrive? Where are we? And there are many times in the last 2 weeks, I would say, gosh, we're in survival. And just know that's okay. That's okay, because there's certain like amazing strides that we do forward. And then some things, our operations and our team as together 2 weeks ago, like everything was going wrong. And yet then the next week, I was so impressed. Everyone showed up, great start in a fresh face, fresh energy, and back on track. And we realized where gaps and holes were in the communication, how we contributed to that communication, and now we're redirecting it. So just remember that there is that bit of it.
Jason, anything to close?
get a coach.
Yeah.
Again, it's changed our lives. And Tony worked on our mindset. We've had Jordan, we've had Abe Shreve, we have Joe Bogar. We did the Feeney coaching before that. You got to have someone helping you get better and walking through and holding you accountable. And again, when we first started with Tony and he was asking how many new escrows you're going to have this week, gosh,
I was scared to talk to
yeah, I've got to commit to new escrows every week. I'm just happy to get 1 or 2 escrows a month. And you're telling me how many am I going to commit to? And let people push you. And again, if you're in a good place, you've got someone that's pouring into you who's further down the road and you're pouring into someone else. So someone's mentoring you and you're mentoring someone else. Get in those relationships where it's both. We all have things to give and we all have to be growing. And we talk on our team about being 1% better every day. And that's something that we drive home and people get tired. As J-Rod said in the meeting, or one of the team members said last week, never heard people talk so much about ownership. You guys talk so much about ownership.
you.
That was sort of the 12-week year where accountability is ownership. It's not just accountable, someone holding you accountable. It's you've got to own what your role is. You've got to own what you're doing, and you've got to have that sense of what are you committed to doing to make yourself better. And yes, we can hold people accountable, but you've got to have it inside. You've got to have your own why. You've got to have your big purpose on what's going to get you up every day to make a difference.
Love it. All right, so
I'll explain this.
yeah, one second. I'm going to turn the floor to Matt in 1 second. So we're going to start right at the top of the hour. The next hour is all sports and entertainment. So it's 100% sports and entertainment focused. The Dodgers come every 4 years, I think. Is that how it works? So can we make this every 4-year commitment? Are we cool with that?
It might be changing in 2
Up
years.
to you.
It might be.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
If you all want us back, we're happy to come
No.
back. Yeah.
Could you check? I think Melissa, our DOO, said something. I saw a chat box. I don't know.
She's been answering some questions online.
Oh, she was? Okay, good.
All right.
And Melissa, you're amazing. Thank you.
So they've been talking about relationship all day, which I love. And so we have 12 sponsors to help put this on. So I'm going to encourage you to get in a relationship with them if you're not already. They will be following up with all of you as well. I'm going to be doing a Zoom with the sponsors to talk to them about how they connect with you and how we can actually build that relationship. If you all played the match game when you were a kid, you pull out a card and then you would flip it over and see the matches type of thing. The sponsors have shared baseball memory stories of theirs. And, you know, when we ask the question, they've got some pretty cool stories here. So when you go to the cafe to go visit with them right now, there's beverages there, there's snacks there. Talk to our sponsors, talk about their memories, match them up. And on that note, Laura, did you get hit by a foul ball at Dodger Stadium when you were 29 weeks pregnant?
With my third, this was pre-net. I got hit from a Justin Turner ball. All I could think of was, oh my goodness, is it going to hit my kids? And then I realized it turned, hit me right here, still have varicose veins. Best part of it, I turned and looked at Jason and the girls and I was like, nobody's bleeding. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So I looked at him and I was like, I will be right back. I have to call the doctor, trying to be really calm. And I took off like a, up to the loge level. The EMTs found me up there. Jason comes running after me. You think he's crying? Best moment though is he's like, honey, don't worry, I got the ball.
That's where we were going.
I was like, great, okay, I'm gonna go to the hospital, no problem.
All right, so.
I like the net.
I love that. Great story. Sponsors got great stories too. Come in the cafe.
See you in 25 minutes.
Who's on there? Oh,
Taking,